$100,000. For years, that number was the ultimate goal. It was the clear boundary line between struggling and finally having a financial foothold. You spent your entire 20s surrounded by people with different careers, already making six figures, and just assumed they inhabited an entirely different reality. You told yourself that if you could just one day get across that line, the low, running current of anxiety in your chest would finally quiet down, only to realize what you probably knew all along. Things are never that simple. You crossed the line. You got the promotion. You signed the contract. You officially changed your title on social media. And then you sat back and waited in anticipation for the wave of relief to finally arrive. But it didn't. You're still sitting in the same room, scrolling through the same social media apps, feeling the same familiar tightness in your jaw, not the relief you were expecting. The numbers have shifted, but the financial weight hasn't. You realize you're making more money than 80% of the country now, but you still find yourself checking your account on a Thursday night to make sure you can clear the weekend. When it happens to come up and you tell friends or family that you make $100,000 a year, most naively imagine $8,300 hitting your bank account every single month. But you know all too well that the reality is much different, especially in your new tax bracket. Every pay period, before you ever even touch a dime, a series of silent, automatic deductions are withheld from your paycheck, and the final figure taken from your check, the hours you essentially worked for free, can feel demoralizing at times. The federal government takes their cut. Then the state takes theirs. Social Security and Medicare contributions disappear instantly into a system you may never even benefit from, even though you've paid into it your whole life. Then come the benefits. The health insurance premium that goes up every single January, the dental plan, the vision plan, all of the other insurance plans you have to cover with your net pay. And then you remember the retirement contribution. You set it to 6% 3 years ago because a human resources email told you it was the responsible choice. By the time the direct deposit actually hits your account on payday, your $8,400 a month on paper is in reality closer to $5,400. $3,000. $3,000 a month has essentially evaporated from your paycheck before you even touched it. That's enough to rent a new place in the nice part of town. It's practically your starting salary at your first job. Every 2 weeks, what actually lands in your account is $2,700, and every month it seems to buy a little less. You stand in your kitchen, watching the bank notification pop up on your phone. You did everything right. You got the degree like your parents wanted. You put in the late hours and unpaid overtime to show the company your worth. You finally hit the magic number. And yet, you are looking at a financial reality that somehow feels remarkably identical to the one you had when you were making half as much. People assume that once you start to clear six figures, you start splurging on designer clothes or using your saved-up PTO to book spontaneous vacations to far-off exotic destinations. But this couldn't be farther from the truth. The reality is that most of your excess spending doesn't go to luxury items or experiences. It goes towards convenience in your everyday life. You learn the hard way that climbing the corporate ladder doesn't just pay you more, it extracts more from you. Every promotion, every additional role you take on demands more of your focus, your energy, and your time. By the time you shut your laptop, it's already 8 in the evening, your third day in a row working late into the night. Your mental battery is completely drained. You know you don't have the energy to stop at a grocery store, stand in line, and cook a meal from scratch, let alone the time. You have work again tomorrow at 8 a.m., and you have to be sharp and ready for anything they might throw at you. Your pay may have increased, but your boss's expectations rose to match it. So you pay the friction tax. You spend $45 on a food delivery app for a meal that should have cost $15. You tell yourself it's just the cost of convenience. But you can't help but feel like as soon as you finally started earning more, the price of everything rose to match it. And when you do have the energy to cook a homemade meal, you pay the premium to have your groceries brought to your door. Not because you don't have time to go to the store. It's Saturday, one of the only 2 days a week you can call your own. It's because your entire weekend has become a desperate attempt to recover from the work week, and you cannot bring yourself to spend your precious time off doing errands you don't feel like doing when you no longer have to. You upgrade your gym membership to a quiet, more premium facility because the budget gym down the street you used to frequent is just too chaotic. You tell yourself that paying $200 a month is an investment in your sanity and money well spent. None of these decisions inherently feel like splurging. They feel like the basic costs required to keep your life and standard of living from falling apart. But ultimately, you aren't buying status. You're just renting the illusion of breathing room. And in the 21st century, breathing room and convenience are some of the most expensive things on the shelf. As your salary grows, the demographic around you naturally changes. You find yourself working alongside people who live in nicer neighborhoods, drive newer vehicles, and occupy their free time with more expensive habits. Slowly, imperceptibly, the baseline of what you consider normal begins to shift. It starts with your living space. You move out of the apartment with the older appliances because you work from home 3 days a week, and you need a dedicated office space that doesn't feel depressing. You buy quality furniture to replace the particle board pieces from your 20s because you tell yourself you are an adult now and your home should look like it. But then it starts to bleed into your social circles. Spontaneous outings, nice dinners, and the occasional trip or destination wedding that cost over $1,500 just to attend. It seems like every other week you slide your credit card across the table for an $80 dinner you didn't really want to go to, splitting the bill evenly for small portions you barely touched. You nod, you smile, and you pretend you aren't quietly moving money out of your savings account under the table while no one is looking. You do this because saying, "I can't afford that," feels like a strange confession when everyone in the room already knows how much you make. You are trapped in the performance of a successful life, and the upkeep on the persona is slowly bleeding you dry. The true danger of making 6 figures and upgrading your standard of living to match is that your margin for error disappears. You are operating at a higher level, which means the potential drop is now much further than before. It only takes one serious, unexpected expense, and the illusion of the safety net cracks. The car needs a major transmission repair. The water heater finally gives out. You have to visit an urgent care for a minor injury, only to discover that your corporate health insurance policy has a $2,500 out-of-pocket deductible that you have to pay yourself. And suddenly, that familiar, sharp panic returns, right in the pit of your stomach. It is the exact same feeling you had when you were 23 years old, making $40,000 a year, being faced with the decision, once again, to be responsible and put aside rent money for this month, or have a social life. You're making more than twice as much now, but you are somehow still living check to check. The difference is, now the stakes are massive. You have a lease to maintain, a car payment to clear, and a new lifestyle and social circle that expects you to just keep spending with no clear end in sight. You look at your colleagues and your neighbors, wondering how they are managing it so effortlessly. But they aren't. They are running on the exact same treadmill, using credit cards to bridge the gap between their income and their expectations. This is where the cycle has to end. The modern economy is designed incredibly well to identify your income level and constantly market a version of life that costs a little more than you make. If you get a raise tomorrow to $120,000 a year, the algorithms crafted to extract your excess spending power will simply adjust, offering you a slightly better zip code, a slightly newer vehicle, and a slightly higher tier of convenience. You simply cannot out-earn a lifestyle that automatically updates with your salary. To break the 6-figure trap, you have to stop playing the character. You have to realize that true wealth has nothing to do with what you consume, where you live, or how seamless your daily routine is. Wealth is the gap. It is the unglamorous, invisible distance between what you bring in and what you spend every month. That gap is where your freedom actually lives. It isn't loud. It isn't something you can post online to impress your peers. It is quiet. It's just basic math and the power of compounding. When you stop paying for the appearance of status, you start buying back your options and your time. You buy your peace of mind. You build a cushion that ensures a routine emergency is just an inconvenience, not a catastrophe. $100,000 a year is not just a certificate of achievement. It is a tool. You can use it to finance a high-stress, high-consumption existence that keeps you locked to your desk forever. Or you can use it to build your way out of the trap laid for you when you first started working 9 to 5. The choice belongs to you.